Wow. I don't even know where to begin, folks. What an adventure. Um, Tennessee 52, Alabama 49. Tennessee breaks a 15-year losing streak to the Crimson Tide. Crimson Tide ranked number 3, Tennessee ranked number 6. It perhaps the biggest game to be played in Neyland Stadium since 1996 when Florida came into Tennessee and won. It was kind of nice to see Tennessee getting on the winning end of these kinds of games. And I've got a few thoughts. I'm not going to go too long because there's going to be time for longer videos about this. But I did want to get some thoughts off my chest before I went to sleep or something. So anyway, Tennessee, what a big victory it was. And let me start off. I'll tell you exactly where to start. I'll tell you exactly where I begin. I was wrong. I didn't think Tennessee had the chops to do it. I thought that Alabama was structurally too sound for Tennessee. I thought Tennessee still wasn't ready for the moment. I just wasn't sure about that. Well, I was proven wrong. Tennessee was more than ready for the moment. And what we saw was Alabama was basically a one-trick pony. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs is good at running back, but Bryce Young is what made them go. He had close to 400 yards passing. I don't have the stats in front of me, and I'm going to look at that here momentarily. But I tell you what, say what you will, Bryce Young was a player worthy of that Heisman Trophy last year. Every time he needed, even under duress, it seemed like he found a way to make it happen. 3rd and 18, he'd find a guy in the middle of the field for 23 yards. You know, it was almost like Chavis was back. And that used to frustrate me. 3rd and 23, and boom, first down. Anyway, but it was a great ball game. Some people are telling me it's the greatest Tennessee victory in their lifetime. I've seen a lot of them. I was there for the 90 game against Florida, the 92 game against Florida. I was there for the 98 game against Arkansas. There was the big 85 game against Auburn where they shut down Bo Jackson. There have been plenty of big games, but I don't know that I remember a game like this, except for maybe the 98 Tennessee-Florida game, since I've lived here. I've lived here since 1974. So I can't really go back. I know there were some big games prior to 1974. I mean, Tennessee has a rich history going back to 1890. But since I've been here, this was probably one of the bigger wins, if not the biggest. The Georgia win in 2016, I think we're going to hear the same kind of euphoria following this game as we saw against Georgia back in 2016 when Josh Dobbs hit Juwan Jennings in the end zone on the last play after Georgia just went down the field and scored. And looked like they had just pulled victory from the jaws of defeat. And Tennessee had the ball. I think there was some sort of penalty. And, of course, well, you know the story. Josh Dobbs threw the pass and hit Juwan Jennings in the back of the end zone, and Tennessee beat Georgia on the last second in Athens. So what led to this? Well, there were it was very multifaceted. And this is what I think, this is a big program developing win for Tennessee. And I'll tell you why. Tennessee faced a lot of adversity in this ballgame. Tennessee got off to a big lead and then surrendered it. And, you know, Alabama came back, cut it to 8, and then they tied it up. And then they took the lead. And I thought, well, Alabama's got the lead. Here they come. This is the national championship rendition of Alabama, and they're going to come in here and they're going to win the ballgame. And Tennessee's not going to be able to react to it because Alabama's been here and Tennessee really hasn't, because this program is still in a renovation process going back 20 months. But Tennessee somehow dug deep and found a way to do it. And maybe Tennessee just wanted it a little bit more. Even when Tennessee looked like it was going to get down by a couple of scores, Tennessee reached down deep and figured out a way to do it. They figured out how to beat a team like Alabama that was ranked number 3 in the country, was in the championship game last year, and they figured out a way to do it. So in my view, this is probably a huge program victory. This is going to help this program mature, and I think they're way ahead of schedule. Because this game last year, Tennessee wouldn't have been able to figure out how to win this. maybe in what was it, the year that they went to the Gator Bowl and beat Indiana? Was that 2018, 2019, when Tennessee won 8 games under Jeremy Pruitt? They were figuring out how to win games, but they didn't win games like of this magnitude. There was no way. Tennessee figured out how to get it done. Tennessee had blunders, just horrible missed opportunities, like the pass where Jalen Hyatt just broke off the run. I think it was right before the half. Broke off the route. That was a sure touchdown. But there were other things too. I mean, there were other deals. The fumble by Jabari Small. I said turnovers in the rushing game was going to be key. Well, Tennessee won Alabama won the turnover battle, yet Tennessee won the game. That's a rare occurrence. And I think Tennessee did a little better job on the ground. And that last drive, or the game-tying drive that made it 49-all, that was set up by the run. And then you look at some of the great play. I mean, Jalen Hyatt, 6 touchdown catches. He had over 200 yards in receiving. Set a record for the SEC and Tennessee. He was not going to be stopped. And you're starting to scratch your head and say, Cedric who? And don't get me wrong, I want to see Cedric. I want to see Cedric Tillman back quickly as possible. I almost said Cedric Wilson. I'd like to see him back too. But that was a long time ago. But anyway, I mean, you had a lot of great things happen, and you had a lot of bad things happen, like the fumble and the scoop and score by, I think it was Turner by Alabama, to put Alabama in front 49-42, and I said, ball game. That's it. And then all of a sudden, Tennessee has the ball down. I think they somehow they got the ball down there at the 3-yard line, and they went down in 2 or 3 plays. He hits Hyatt. Hendon Hooker hits Hyatt for what was it, an 87-yard touchdown pass, 83-yard touchdown pass. Unbelievable. And Hooker had a great game. I mean, he threw an interception, breaking the streak at 260 passes without a pick. But he was still pretty efficient. And he got his 300 yards, his 6 touchdowns, and Tennessee won the game. That's the thing. Everybody said, well, the defense didn't look very good, but the defense did enough to make stops to win this game. You look at what happened with on that last field goal. Tennessee moved them back. Somehow Alabama was Tennessee's best friend, though. Let's be honest. Alabama really, I mean, what was it? They had 15, 16 penalties. That pass interference play at the end of the ball game really preserved Tennessee's opportunity to win the game in regulation. I don't know that Tennessee could have won it in overtime. I think Tennessee was to that point where it was really gassed. But that being said, Tennessee made plays when it had to on both offense and defense. The defense bent a lot and broke a few times, but it was solid enough to keep Alabama out of the end zone. 2 field goals in the first half. Those were big wins. And then the missed field goal that led to Tennessee getting the ball and going down the field with, 15 seconds left. And somebody sent me a text saying 2 passes and Tennessee can win this game. And he was exactly right. And Tennessee got down there, got on the 22-yard line, and then McGrath kicks a knuckleball field goal through the uprights. Doesn't matter how it goes through. Doesn't have to be end over end. It doesn't have to have any rotation at all. Just so long as that ball travels the distance and goes through the uprights over the crossbar, it counts all the same. And Tennessee won the game 52-49, and this is gonna resonate throughout the country because a lot of people are saying, well, Tennessee should be number 1. They're the best team in the country right now. Well, tap the brakes on that too. They've got a good resume when you count all the teams that they've beaten that were ranked. And you can let the debate begin about how legit some of those ranked teams were. I can understand that. And we've talked about that before on these videos. But the bottom line is Tennessee's beaten 5 ranked teams. So they'll probably get a vote or two somewhere, either in the coaches poll or the AP for number 1. But I have a feeling they'll swap places with Alabama. Alabama may drop farther than 6th. I don't know. But I think Tennessee certainly is in the top 3. But then keep in mind, Michigan was a big winner over Penn State today. And so Michigan's right up there. And so we're going to have to see what happens. Georgia beat Vanderbilt. You knew that was going to happen. And I think Ohio State was off today. But I figure Ohio State will be right up there. Georgia will be right up there. Clemson, I don't know what Clemson did today, but this is 2022. A lot of crazy things can happen. But here's what I want to point out. This is one of the points I want to make. And of course, I'm going to come back to it and write my thoughts down and come back with a more in-depth video at some point in time later on. But the bottom line is, this is a huge program win. This is a big victory for the program because Tennessee now proved that it could beat a team like Alabama, who was number one in the coaches poll. Oh, by the way, still number one there, and number three in the AP. And Alabama's plenty good, but they don't have the type of talent at receiver that they had before, and I don't think they have the type of talent at the secondary that they've had in the past. And they're certainly not the road team that Alabama once was 5-6 years ago. 3 or 4 years ago, if you really want to be honest. So you look at this game, I mean, this is Tennessee figured out a way to beat an Alabama, and this is what we were waiting for. This is a signature win that Josh Heupel needed. Forget about Florida, forget about LSU, forget about Pittsburgh. Those weren't signature victories. This is a signature victory. And now Tennessee's got UT Martin next, which is good because I think Tennessee might have been a little hungover if it had to play somebody else, and that might have been a showstopper for this program. And I think Tennessee, again, UT Martin is ranked in the NAIA, or not NAIA, in Division I AA, in FCS, whatever they call it, Cougar Mellencamp, whatever they call that thing. They're ranked, I think, in the top 10 there, and they were a playoff team last year. So Jason Simpson's team is going to bring in a pretty good ball club, but I don't think they've got the talent to match with Tennessee, and I don't think they'll have the stamina to go up against that offense. But that offense probably won't play for more than a quarter and a half or 2 quarters. So I fully expect Tennessee to play its full team. Now, but then you've got Georgia, you've got Kentucky, you've got South Carolina coming up, and all 3 of those teams could make life miserable for Tennessee. Don't anticipate it with Vanderbilt or Missouri, but I think Tennessee now has solidified itself. I think it's proven itself, and I wasn't sure it could, but it sure did. It's proven itself as a team that can take care of business and beat good SEC teams and be a contender. Now they're in the playoff conversation legitimately. Last week they were kind of talked about in sort of ancillary terms. Well, now they're legit. You know, Tennessee is a team that could get in there and do this. Well, I agree. I think they could. So get ready, folks. It's going to be a wild ride, and this is a big victory. My understanding is they're still celebrating at Neyland Stadium, and it's been about an hour and a half or 2 hours since the game ended. So Knoxville's going to be crazy tonight. I wish I were there in some respects, but it's going to be crazy. So anyway, I don't care. One more thing, too. I don't care who you pulled for in this ballgame, whether it was Alabama or whether it was Tennessee or whether if you have allegiances elsewhere. This is a great ball game. It was exciting. It was a thrill a minute. And if you were a fan of either team, you were on the edge of your seat the whole game. Great victory for Tennessee. Tough loss for Alabama, but Alabama's not done. They've got a whole half of the season left to rehab itself. Got Ole Miss coming up. That's going to be a challenge. And one of my friends sent me a text saying the pressure is on for Ole Miss. Now they've got a chance to win the Western Division. And Alabama stands in the way. Can they do it? And Lane Kiffin's going to have to deal with that. So we'll see what happens there. But this is, and if Tennessee, boy, wouldn't that be something if Ole Miss beat Alabama and then somehow Tennessee got into Atlanta and beat Ole Miss. And I think Tennessee's got a better team than Ole Miss. Ole Miss is different. They are more of a grinded out running team this year than they've been in the past. But let's say Tennessee wins the SEC. They're going to the playoffs, folks. And let me just point out, 20 months ago, did you ever think about that happening? I heard the interview with Donde Plowman, and she said, we didn't expect this kind of progress. She's the chancellor of UT. She said, we thought we'd be here, but not this quickly. And now here Tennessee is. It's right there in the hunt for the SEC title. It's right there in the hunt for a playoff shot. Hendon Hooker's now being touted as a legitimate Heisman contender. And I think all that's legit. But we got to keep in mind, it's 6-0. Tennessee's got 6 games left. The world doesn't end with an Alabama victory. At least I hope not. This is a big victory for Tennessee. So I think enjoy it. But Tennessee fans are going to have to really understand, and I understand battered Vol syndrome, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let's enjoy it, and let's see what happens next. I think Tennessee beats UT Martin, and who knows, Tennessee might have a chance against Georgia. Georgia doesn't have running backs like it normally has, and it doesn't have receivers like it normally has. It's got a good defense, but not a great defense like it had last year. What it does have is playmakers at tight end that can change the game. So it'll be fun to watch. It's going to be a wild ride, folks. Get ready. I can't wait to see what the rankings say tomorrow, and I'll probably have another video tomorrow or Monday or whatever. But anyway, we appreciate you joining it. I'm Jim Steele. This has been Pressbox Plus, a supplement to the Pressbox radio show, which will be off the air for another 2 weeks. We won't be back on the air until November 1st. And that's because we're running the United Way charity auction that's going on in Benton County. And we ask you to listen in for that and bid on the products there. The donations you make there with your bids will help somebody that's in need. And I think that's a noble cause. And we don't mind stepping aside for that. But November 1st, we'll be back on the air with the Press Box on WRJB. You can look me up on Twitter. I'm Steele Sports, Steele Sports. Follow me on Facebook. I'm Jim Steele, Steele with an E on the end of it. And send me a friend request. I accept them all unless I suspect that you're some sort of scammer from Nigeria or India or something like that, which I get a lot of. And if you read my column in the Carroll County News Leader, Camden Chronicle, and Dresden Enterprise. It appears weekly there. So anyway, folks, Tennessee wins 52-49, breaking a streak of 15 losses to Alabama. And maybe Tennessee has turned the tide, bad choice of words. But it was a fun night. Win, lose, or draw, it was a great game to watch. And we'll have more about this game later on. In the meantime, Tennessee again winning 52-49 at the last second over Alabama, and I was wrong. I was dead wrong. I didn't think Tennessee could do it. Now they've made me a believer, and I think maybe they can beat Georgia. Not going to say they are. I'm not ready to go there yet. But they certainly can. So anyway, hey, have a great rest of the weekend, and we will see you back here later on Pressbox Plus. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, and we'll be back soon. Have a great weekend, everyone. Tennessee wins 52-49 over Alabama.